Now I'd like to, if you don't mind, I'm going to get my coffee. Explain how I know that Lennon was the mastermind of the crime, and which included the COVID monstrosity, and is still in power with his gang like Roger Waters. And their power base is built on blaming me for something that didn't happen. He pulled a Houdini so that they can help the people who they actually claim killed him get away and make uh, Ukrainian gold off of the enterprise. So when I received the letters, which the police deny exist, they included uh, talk about briefing for a descent into hell. I was being kidnapped, subject to neurological injuries, tortured and gassed, beaten piteously, and receiving these letters from an Israeli about briefing for a descent into hell. Years later, I pursued them to Mount Desert Island, where they engineered a Venus flytrap AIDS contagion symposium that Penis Gabriel called an experience park. And it led me to the film project at Sound Mental Health, where I was banned from school. I extracted film clips from a number of suspicious movies. And one of the things I learned is that Two Virgins was indexed into the entire operation as a game of pussy ball over Midori Goto. You can see the symbolism in things like this. Notice how the notice how the map of Japan comes up from her crotch, and it's crimson with blood. These kinds of symbols are pernicious in the Hollywood cinema of the Axis intelligence system. This was in the script. I'm about ready to start sending you ESP signals. They used the name James and an idea of Oswald, as you can see. And and in the pornographic industry, they used James, which signifies a great deal about birth dates. There's my grandfather with an article in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch about birth dates. And Two Virgins recurs in many of them. Remember, these letters were mailed to me. Notice the two by the mailbox, and she sort of whistles as she gets the mail, and there's an observer on the sidelines playing peekaboo for the postal union, who, by the way, followed my letter to Courtney about the murder of Circe and drowned two more Kennedys. Um, the symbiosis between the Holocaust community, Holocaust survivor community, and the Neva Confederation, who Sister Neva Mancine seduced me for the Israelis, is seen by the use of a Star of David, a C and a Star of David. Another symbol they use is the rerouted motorcade of the Kennedy assassination. Here's a look-alike of Jennifer Rubin, one of the Israelis involved with Gail Burstyn in a Roman pink cinema. As you can see, the man whose number was the age Adolf Hitler was when he took over Paris, the capital of Germany at that time, you might think, has Mac on his collar because they wanted to turn the tables and arrest their own victims. This is what the United States society does to symbols of its own dignity. Arrest their own victim. And why is Paris such a symbol? Is because this had notice the Eiffel Tower like and the Hitler like. See that mustache of the laughing Japanese actors that recur in this film. gang is because they're comedians, because Charlie Chaplin played the great dictator, and they're turning around all of the symbols. They want you to click your heels at 51 Itro and say Paris is the capital of Germany again, as Trumpy Tune would say. Notice the rerouted motorcade and the deafening blast and the Hitler non over the little boy. It was all set up. The super story confirms that Hitler was Caspered. He got away. Lenin Houdini, two virgins pussy ball, and that Kennedy was murdered in revenge for Hiroshima. So when I met Lenin's Wiggler, Robert Fripp, uh, who was playing guitar for the German Helden on Bowie's Luciferian um, advocacy for Hitler tour. Um, he introduced me to a man who lived in Paris during the occupation with Gurdjieff, who was a very sinister secret agent of the Gestapo involved in interrogations. He was the type of person you're up against in movies like Deliverance. He believed that there were forces that enslaved people that were informal forces like prostitution and could be used to turn man's life into an excruciating showdown with invisible powers of gangster domain. And the Bowies have exported this to the African richos because there's Ukrainian investments from Africa. And when Camilla fell at the Beijing Olympics, I realized it was a fourth wing intelligence system. And I looked into cubism. It took a long time to get to the bottom of it, but a man named Blythe Sanders, they just came out with a book, The Invention of Life. You see, life is an invention. They can do anything. What you would rather believe as a Kennedy was killed by Oswald. That Lenin pulled a Houdini and his attaché is Gail Burstyn. She's his spirit for Roger Waters' Wish You Were Here company. So we found that Luigi Freddi, who founded the Italian Cinema Corporation, was an acolyte of the first personality cult that gave rise to the great dictators in Fiume. His name was D'Annunzio, who worked with Diaghilev, who in turn was chummy with Uspensky and Gurdjieff, who's actually rumored to have known Stalin, hence the mustache they both sported. And attended by the Thule Society Capitan Adolf Hitler. So the metaphor system of me being deafened is the Hiroshima blast. Oh, the police can't wait for me to say that. The Pittsburgh police come running. They have their hands on their belt holsters. Put that antipsychotic medicine in your mouth, queer ball, or we'll poison you for Jay Inslee. It's ridiculous. The metaphor system of deafness, it's, Midori Goto was a bride of Frankenstein. She didn't want him in the end. She didn't want him in the end. Boris Karloff lived at the Dakota. All of this stuff is Axis Hollywood, and they're expulsing the legacy of the Kennedys and my father. They want to get down to business in the Ukraine. Show them in the museum. Heister had an employee who introduced me to Peter Ustinov by hook and by crook, as Gurdjieff would say. Well, Penis Ustinov was in the Diaghilev scene that I'm talking about. Biden was the imperial wizard of the Green Party. He set up Midori Goto with the black man. So all is sin cleansed because it's a sin cleanse insect. Climate change and man named Maxine Kobe were evoked. Oh, Spock, it is illogical for you to want to be paid for your life of hard work and torture. Spock, give it to the outpours, or lest we inject you with HIV and give Yoko Ono her last cackle on the Kennedys. And the Leapfrog moneybags actually got the black man, to threaten to blow up his own children. The spinner beanies of London's Houdini are an ultimatum to accept genocide. It's even in the way that Putin evokes the index qualities of Biden's name and saying either we, the Council of Dictators, gets away, or Biden. The best I can do is unmask these rabid beetles, and the children hating antics and poison minds are beyond my reach. Securing this information for public safety, I was brutally tortured by deranged ingrates and refused compensation for my injuries and hard work because they are insane with hatred for public safety and freedom of thought. Don't be fooled. They are a brainwash mechanism, not a liberation phenomenon.